Picture a 1968 control arm, forged steel, sitting on a workbench under a shop light, wearing 40 years of rust like a second skin. The instinct is to reach for a grinder, and in about 10 minutes, that rust will be gone. What most people never realize is that the same 10 minutes just quietly stole a small but real slice of the metal underneath it. And on a part where tolerances matter, that's not nothing. Here's the problem. Nobody talks about when they hand you a wire wheel or a sandblasting cabinet. Rust isn't a layer sitting on top of your steel like dirt on a windshield. It's the steel itself, chemically converted, swollen, and fused into the surface. So when you attack it with a spinning wire brush or a stream of pressurized abrasive, you're not lifting something off, you're grinding down into the part itself, because the tool has no way to tell the difference between rust and healthy metal. On thin, stamped sheet metal, the friction can even generate enough heat to warp the original shape. And on precision components, bearing journals, steering knuckles, anything with a press-fit tolerance measured in thousandths of an inch, that thin layer you just ground away might have been the exact material the engineers built the fit around. It still gets the part clean, it's just not free. So why is mechanical abrasion the default? Follow the money for a second, not as some hidden scheme, just simple economics. Abrasives are a consumable business by design. Silicon carbide and aluminum oxide media are made in furnaces running several thousand degrees Fahrenheit, and every bag of it is engineered to shatter into dust the moment you use it. You blast a part, the media turns to waste, and you're back at the store buying another bag. Commercial body shops run on the same math. Labor hours are the expensive part of the equation, and stripping a part with a blaster takes minutes. Nobody's charging you extra to preserve your factory tolerances, because preserving them isn't the fast option. There's just very little financial incentive pushing a shop toward a method that takes zero abrasive and costs pennies in electricity. That method already exists, and it's been used for decades in a field you wouldn't expect. Museum conservation and marine archaeology. When conservators pull an iron cannon or an anchor off a centuries-old shipwreck, they don't sandblast it. The metal is often too fragile, and the goal isn't just clean, it's structurally preserved. Their tool of choice is electrolysis, using a mild direct electrical current to pull rust off an object without touching it with anything abrasive at all. It's slow, it's quiet, and it's been standard practice in conservation labs for a very long time before hobbyists ever adopted it for engine parts and tool restoration. The science behind it is simpler than it sounds. Rust forms because iron atoms give up electrons to oxygen in the air, and that electron exchange is what binds the oxide into the metal surface. Think of it less like a stain and more like a chemical handshake holding two things together. Since that bond is electrical in nature, you can undo it electrically. Submerge the rusted part in a mildly conductive water bath, connect it to the negative terminal of a battery charger, and flood it with a steady stream of extra electrons. That surplus of negative charge overwhelms the bond holding the oxide in place, and the rust particles physically detach from the surface and drift off into the water. Pulled toward a sacrificial piece of scrap steel connected to the positive terminal, which slowly absorbs the rust in the healthy part's place. You're not scraping anything off, you're changing the electrical environment until the rust lets go on its own. Here's what makes this approachable. The whole setup costs about as much as a fast food meal. You need a plastic tub, a cheap manual battery charger, the analog kind with a dial, since modern microprocessor-controlled smart chargers are built to detect a lead-acid battery and will error out on an open bath, a piece of scrap rebar or mild steel, and a box of plain sodium carbonate, sold as washing soda in the laundry aisle. Skip baking soda, skip scented detergents, and definitely skip table salt. Salt is sodium chloride, and running current through a chloride solution releases chlorine gas, which is the last thing you want in an enclosed garage. Sodium carbonate carries no halogens, so it stays safe. To actually run it, fill the tub with tap water and stir in roughly half a cup of washing soda per 5 gallons, which is enough to turn plain water into a conductive electrolyte. Submerge the rusted part fully. Clamp the charger's negative black lead directly to bare metal on the part. This makes it the cathode, and cathodes don't corrode. Submerge the scrap rebar on the opposite side of the tub, making sure it never physically touches the part, since contact shorts the circuit and stops the reaction. Clamp the positive, red lead to the exposed end of the rebar sticking out of the water. Set the charger to somewhere around 5 to 10 amps, depending on the size of the part, switch it on, and walk away. Within minutes, you'll see small bubbles rising off the part. That's hydrogen gas from the water splitting under the current, not heat. Leave it running for roughly 12 to 24 hours, then disconnect the wall power first, unclamp both leads, and pull the part out. It'll be coated in a dark, slightly slimy film that a plain nylon dish brush and warm water will rinse away in seconds. No wire brush needed, because there's nothing abrasive left to do. What you'll find underneath usually isn't bright silver, and that's the point. It'll be a dark gray, sometimes nearly black. That's magnetite, a stable form of iron oxide that doesn't hold moisture and doesn't keep expanding the way red rust does. It's chemically the same protective black oxide gunsmiths create when they blue a firearm barrel. The original factory machining marks, the sharp stamped edges, the exact dimensions the part was engineered to, all of it stays intact because nothing was ground away to get there. A few honest limitations worth knowing before you try this. It won't undo pitting that decades of active rust already ate into the metal. It removes rust. It doesn't regrow steel. It's slow. This is an overnight process, not a 10-minute fix. And it does require real caution. Hydrogen gas is flammable and lighter than air, so run this with the garage door open and a fan cross-ventilating. Never near an open flame or a pilot light. And never use a stainless steel anode, since running current through chromium can release toxic gas. Stick to plain scrap steel or rebar. None of this makes the grinder or the blast cabinet useless. Sometimes speed genuinely matters more than preservation. But for anything irreplaceable, anything with a tolerance you can't buy back at a parts store, it's worth knowing there's a slower, quieter option that lets the chemistry do the work instead of the friction. That's it for this one on Hidden Fix Lab. The metal usually has more to say than we give it credit for, if you're willing to listen instead of grind.